A millionaire father installs hidden cameras to protect his blind twins, believing his new wife loves them as her own until one quiet afternoon. The footage reveals a truth so shocking it shatters everything he thought he knew about family, trust, and love. Ethan Hawley moved through his home with the careful quiet of someone who had carried grief for too long. The house was large, beautifully designed, and filled with a kind of stillness that made every sound echo back at him. He had once imagined it filled with laughter, the kind that spilled from room to room. That was before his wife, Amelia, passed away and left him struggling to raise their blind 6-year-old twins, Willie and Noah, on his own. Every morning began the same way: soft steps, whispered encouragement, and a silent hope that he was doing enough. He found the twins sitting on the couch, holding hands the way they always did when they felt unsure. "Good morning, my loves," he said, touching their shoulders gently. Lily turned her face toward his voice with a small smile. Noah pressed closer to her. "Is it sunny today?" Lily asked. She asked that every morning, though she couldn't see sunlight. "It is," Ethan said. "Warm and bright." "I like when it's warm," Noah whispered. Ethan brushed his hand over their hair. "I know. It makes the house feel alive." He paused before adding softly, "Just like you two." But even as he tried to start the day with calm warmth, he felt the weight of exhaustion pulling at him. Balancing work, grief, and parenthood had drained him slowly, leaving faint shadows under his eyes. The twins needed more than he could give alone, and he hated admitting it. He had promised Amelia he would be strong, yet every night he lay awake wondering where he had gone wrong. When Claire entered their lives, it felt like a doorway opening after years of suffocating in the dark. She was gentle at first, offering help with meals, routines, and the emotional storms the twins sometimes struggled to manage. She smiled easily, listened carefully, and seemed to understand the children's needs. Ethan found himself drawn to her warmth, the way she could calm Lily's trembling hands or make Noah with a single soft phrase. One evening, after a long day, he admitted the truth he had been carrying. "I don't know if I'm doing enough," he said to her quietly as they washed dishes together. Claire dried her hands on a towel. "You're doing more than enough," she replied. "You're just tired." Anyone would be. "I always feel like I'm missing something," he said. "Like I'm failing them in ways I can't see." "You're not failing them," she insisted. "You just need support. And you have me now." That simple reassurance felt like a lifeline. Over the months that followed, their relationship deepened into something tender and hopeful. After nearly 2 years of quiet rebuilding, Ethan asked her to become part of their family. She said yes with tears in her eyes, promising to love the twins as her own. But soon after the marriage, subtle shifts began to appear. The twins grew quieter. They clung to Ethan when he left for work. They hesitated when Claire called their names. Lily chewed nervously on her sleeves, something she hadn't done in years. Noah flinched at sudden sounds, even soft ones. When Ethan asked them what was wrong, they shook their heads and whispered nothing. One night, long after the children had gone to bed, Ethan sat in the living room, staring at the wall while worry twisted inside him. "Have you noticed the kids acting different?" he asked. Claire looked up from her book. "Different how?" "Withdrawn," he said. "Jumpy, quiet." "They're grieving again," she answered gently. "Kids go through waves. They'll settle." "I hope so," he murmured, though something in his chest tightened with unease. The next week, their behavior didn't improve. Lily held her hands close to her chest instead of exploring her surroundings with her usual confidence. Noah refused to eat unless Ethan sat beside him. They moved through the house with caution, like something unseen waited in the corners. One evening, Ethan knelt in front of Lily. "Sweetheart, is something bothering you?" "No," she said, but her voice trembled. "Are you sure?" "Daddy, I'm okay," she whispered. Noah echoed her. "We're okay." But he didn't believe them. He could hear the fear in their silence. That night, alone in his study, Ethan made a decision that tore at him. He opened a small box containing discreet security cameras he once bought but never used. He had told himself he wouldn't turn their home into a monitored space, but fear overrode guilt. He installed the cameras quietly, one in the living room, one in the hallway, one near the kitchen, one near the playroom. None intruded on the children's privacy, but each covered the open areas where they spent most of their time. As he adjusted the final camera, he whispered to himself, "This is just to keep them safe. Nothing more." When Claire came home later, he hid the tools quickly. "You look tired," she said, kissing his cheek. "Just a long day," he replied. They went through their evening routine, pretending everything was normal. But Ethan's mind kept drifting back to the cameras. He felt guilty, even ashamed, as though he had betrayed someone. Yet the thought of missing something dangerous frightened him more. The next 2 days passed without incident. The footage showed nothing unusual. Claire guided the twins through their routines, speaking gently, keeping them busy. She seemed patient, steady, and kind. Ethan felt relief wash over him, though confusion lingered. Was he imagining everything? Had grief made him paranoid again? Was he repeating the same frantic fear he felt when Amelia fell ill, trying to fix something he couldn't? One night, as he reviewed the footage from earlier that afternoon, he noticed a small detail: Lily flinching when Claire's hand brushed her arm. It was quick, almost invisible, but Ethan knew his daughter's body language. He leaned closer to the screen. "Why did she flinch?" he whispered. He rewound. Watched again. The moment lasted less than a second, yet it struck him like ice. The next clip showed Noah sitting stiffly at the table, his hands folded tightly. Claire approached with lunch, her voice soft, but Noah's shoulders curled inward, as though he wanted to disappear. Ethan replayed that moment too. "What are you afraid of?" he said under his breath. A knot formed in his stomach, a cold, heavy weight. That evening, he watched Claire talk to the twins with her usual calm tone. She smiled at them often, but the children's smiles felt forced, fragile, uncertain. Something was wrong. He felt it deeper than he could explain. Later, while tucking them in, Noah whispered, "Daddy, don't go yet." Ethan sat beside him. "I'm here," he said softly. "You're safe." Noah's small hand clutched his. Lily reached for him too, her trembling fingers finding his wrist. He stayed with them long after their breathing slowed. As he watched them sleep, his heart tightened with a painful truth taking shape. The truth he had been afraid to name. Something in this house was hurting them, and he was determined to uncover it, no matter what it cost. Ethan woke earlier than usual the next morning, the restless feeling from the night before still clinging to him. He moved through the house quietly, listening for any sign from the twins, but all he heard was the soft hum of the heater and the faint rustle of blankets from their room. For a moment, he stood outside their door, hand on the knob, wondering if he should wake them or let them rest. Instead, he whispered to himself, "Just let today be normal. Please." When the twins finally emerged, they walked slowly down the hallway. Lily reached for the wall with cautious fingertips. Noah shuffled behind her. Their steps felt heavier, as if something unseen weighed them down. Ethan knelt beside them. "Good morning," he said softly. "Morning," Lily replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Did you sleep okay?" he asked. Noah murmured, but Ethan heard the hesitation. Claire entered moments later, cheerful as always. "There you two are," she said brightly. "Come on, breakfast is ready." The twins tensed at the sound of her voice, so subtly that most people would have missed it. Ethan didn't miss it. He watched their small shoulders stiffen. Watched the way Lily clasped her own hands, watched Noah tilt his face downward. A quiet alarm rang somewhere inside him. Over breakfast, Claire kept up her gentle tone, praising them for eating well and reminding them about their afternoon lesson. Everything she said sounded warm, but the children responded with short, nervous answers. After she stepped away to make tea, Ethan leaned toward Lily. "Sweetheart, you seem sad today." "I'm okay," she said. "You don't sound okay." "I'm just tired," she whispered. Noah echoed, "Me too." Ethan reached for their hands under the table. Their fingers curled around his, trembling softly. He squeezed back and said nothing. He didn't want to push them, but every part of him screamed for answers. Later, after dropping the twins at their therapy session, Ethan drove home and reviewed the camera footage again. Hours of recordings filled the screen. Most of it showed Claire moving normally around the house, organizing toys, tidying blankets, preparing snacks. Nothing alarming. "Maybe I'm imagining it," he muttered as he clicked through clips. "Maybe they're just adjusting. He stopped mid-sentence. A new clip opened. The footage showed Claire placing bowls on the kitchen table. Lily and Noah sat quietly, waiting. Claire set down their food, but something in her posture changed. Her shoulders tightened, her jaw clenched. Her expression shifted from gentle to cold. Ethan leaned closer, his breath catching. Claire spoke sharply, though her words were low. "I said sit still. You always make things harder than they need to be." Noah flinched. Lily's hands immediately retreated to her lap. Ethan felt his pulse spike. "What are you doing?" he whispered to the screen. Claire continued muttering under her breath, frustration growing. "Eat faster. We don't have all day." She tapped the spoon against the table with irritation. "I swear, everything takes 10 times longer with you two." Noah brought the spoon to his mouth too quickly and spilled a little. His head jerked down as if bracing for something. Claire didn't hit him. She didn't shout, but the coldness in her voice cut like something physical. "Look at this mess," she snapped. "You're 6, not a baby." Ethan watched Noah shrink into his chair. Lily's breathing quickened. He froze, staring at the monitor, unable to move. The clip continued for several minutes, silent tension, curt instructions, the twins trying to obey without upsetting her. When Claire finally stepped out of frame, Lily let out a tiny breath, as if she had been holding it the whole time. Ethan's throat tightened painfully. He replayed the clip. Then again. Every second felt like a betrayal of the trust he had placed in her. "I need to calm down," he whispered, though his hands were shaking. "I need to see more. I need to be sure." He watched footage from the hallway camera next. Claire guided the twins to the playroom, her tone back to gentle. Anyone walking in would think she was the perfect caretaker. She smiled, touched their shoulders, encouraged them to play. But Ethan now noticed the stiffness in their movements, the subtle fear they tried to hide. When the children accidentally knocked over a block tower, Claire froze. Her smile evaporated. Her voice shifted again. "Do you ever pay attention?" She muttered harshly. "I clean this up every day." The twins said nothing. She continued, quieter but sharper. "You think your father will let you behave like this forever? He's tired, you know. He won't always have patience for you." Ethan's breath shattered in his chest. "No," he whispered. "No, she didn't say that." He replayed it. There was no mistaking her voice. A wave of cold swept through him. Amelia had once told him children understood more than adults realized. They felt every tone, every mood, every shift. She used to say, "Kids don't need loud anger to be hurt. Quiet disappointment can break them too." He stared at the screen, remembering her words. After hours of reviewing footage, Ethan closed the laptop, pressed his palms to his eyes, and tried to steady his breathing. "I shouldn't jump to conclusions," he told himself. Maybe she was having a bad day. Maybe, but he didn't believe it. When the twins returned home, they sensed something different in him. Lily touched his wrist gently. "Daddy?" "I'm here," he said. Trying to sound normal, Claire came in moments later with a relaxed smile. "How was your day?" she asked. "Good," he lied, watching her closely. She moved through the kitchen, humming softly. She acted as though nothing were wrong. Ethan studied her carefully, the way she placed ingredients on the counter, the way she spoke sweetly to the twins while keeping her back to him. He wondered how long she had been hiding this side of herself. During dinner, she told a funny story from her childhood. The twins listened in silence. When she laughed, Noah's shoulders rose slightly, as if bracing for something unpredictable. Lily folded her hands tightly. Ethan shifted his gaze between them and felt his chest ache. After putting the children to bed, he confronted his reflection in the bathroom mirror. "I have to know the truth," he whispered. "No more guessing." He returned to the living room and opened the laptop again. Another clip loaded automatically. This time, Claire's voice was sharper, her expression colder, her patience thinner. Ethan felt his entire world tilt. Whatever was happening behind his back was deeper than he imagined. And he knew this was only the beginning of what the cameras would reveal. Morning sunlight filled the kitchen, but it did nothing to warm the tension that had settled across the house. Ethan watched the twins quietly pick at their breakfast while Claire moved around them with a soft smile that felt increasingly artificial to him. Every gesture she made seemed rehearsed. Each word carried a sweetness that felt too polished. He observed the way Lily kept her shoulders slightly raised and how Noah kept his hands tucked close, as if trying to become smaller. "You two okay?" Ethan asked gently. "We're fine," Lily whispered. "Yeah," Noah added quickly. Claire turned from the sink with an overly bright tone. "They're just sleepy today. Aren't you, my loves?" The twins didn't answer. Their silence was louder than any protest. After breakfast, Claire suggested taking them to the playroom. "Go ahead," Ethan said, forcing calm. "I'll join you in a minute." As soon as they left, he opened the laptop again, needing answers he feared but could no longer avoid. He clicked to a new folder of recordings from the previous afternoon. The footage opened with Claire guiding the twins into the playroom. Her smile faded instantly once she thought she was alone. "Sit down," she said sharply. Lily felt for a chair, her hands trembling slightly. Noah sat next to her. Claire crossed her arms. "I don't know why you make everything so complicated. Your father works so hard. The least you could do is try." Ethan's jaw tightened. Her tone wasn't loud, but it cut deep. Lily swallowed. "We're trying." "Trying isn't enough," Claire snapped. "You two need to stop acting so helpless." Noah whimpered softly. "We're not helpless." Claire leaned down, her expression cold. "Then stop acting like you can't do anything without someone holding your hand." Ethan pressed his palm against his mouth, fighting the urge to shout at the screen. He clicked forward to another clip. The twins were building a small tower with foam blocks. Lily reached too far and knocked a piece over. Claire stiffened. "You've got to be kidding me," she muttered. "Do you even pay attention to what your hands are doing?" Lily shrank. "I'm sorry." "No, you're not sorry," Claire snapped. "You just don't try hard enough." Ethan watched Lily's small hands clench into fists in her lap. Another clip. Claire cleaning up toys while talking under her breath. "Your father thinks you're perfect. If only he saw how difficult you are when he's not here." Noah murmured, "Please don't be mad." "I'm not mad," Claire replied coldly. "I'm disappointed." "There's a difference." The twins stayed perfectly still, quiet as mice. Ethan felt something inside him break. Amelia had always said their blindness made them more sensitive to tone, more aware of emotional shifts. Watching them shrink into themselves made anger burn through his veins. He scrolled forward again. The next clip stole the air from his lungs. Noah was carrying a small cup of water across the room when his foot brushed the edge of a toy. He stumbled slightly, spilling a few drops. He froze immediately, his breath hitching. Claire turned sharply. Seriously? She rushed over and snatched the cup from his hands. I leave you alone for 2 minutes, and you already make a mess. I didn't mean to, Noah trembled. Claire pushed him lightly on the shoulder. Not enough to knock him down, but enough to make him stumble backward. Just sit down before you do something else. Ethan slammed the laptop shut, chest pounding. Enough, he muttered. That's enough. He stood there breathing hard, fury mixing with heartbreak. He wanted to storm upstairs and demand answers. He wanted to confront her with every awful moment she had hidden behind her carefully crafted smile. But another part of him, the father who needed to protect his children, knew acting impulsively would only put them at risk. He reopened the laptop and forced himself to watch more. Needing the entire truth, the next sequence made him sit down. Claire grabbed Lily's arm too tightly while guiding her to the table. Lily winced, her lips parting in a silent gasp. Don't drag your feet like that, Claire hissed. You know better. I'm sorry, Lily whispered. You're always sorry, Claire muttered. But you never improve. Ethan felt tears sting his eyes. Lily had always taken things to heart, always tried to please. Seeing her shrink emotionally under Claire's harshness shattered him. He closed the laptop slowly, his hands trembling. When the three of them returned from the playroom, Claire smiled brightly. They're doing great today. Really improving. The twins stood behind her, silent and stiff. Ethan knelt down. Hey, how are you two feeling? We're fine, no one murmured. Lily nodded, but her chin quivare. Claire placed her hands on their shoulders. I'll take them to the backyard for some fresh air. No, Ethan said abruptly. Claire raised an eyebrow. No, I'll take them, he said. A confused smile tugged at her lips. Ethan, you're busy. I said I'll take them. The twins moved toward him instantly, as if relieved. Claire's expression tightened for a second before she forced another smile. Of course. I'll go start lunch. Outside, Ethan sat with the children on the small bench near the garden. Can you tell me what's wrong? He asked gently. Lily shook her head. Nothing, sweetheart, he murmured. I need the truth. We can't, Noah whispered. Why not? Because... Noah's voice cracked. Because she gets upset. Ethan felt his heart break open. Has she been unkind to you? The twins didn't speak, but their silence was an answer. Lily finally whispered, Daddy, don't tell her we said anything. I won't, Ethan said, pulling them close. But I promise you this. I'm going to make sure you're safe. That night, Ethan stayed awake long after everyone else had gone to bed. He watched the recordings again, every second burning into his memory. Anger pulsed through him, but beneath it was guilt so deep it made him sick. He had brought Claire into their lives. He had trusted her. He had failed to notice the signs sooner, but now he knew the full truth, and tomorrow he would no longer stay silent. His children had suffered quietly long enough. He would protect them, no matter the cost. Ethan barely slept that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the moments replay, the flinches, the whispered apologies, the trembling hands of his children as they tried to shrink under Claire's disappointment. He lay awake listening to the quiet breaths coming from the twins' room down the hall, feeling a mix of grief, rage, and determination coiled tightly inside him. By morning, he had made up his mind. He wasn't going to let Claire get near them again. Not for a moment. When he walked into the kitchen, Claire was already there making breakfast. She looked up with a cheerful smile. Good morning, honey. He didn't respond right away. He watched her carefully, noticing the familiarity of her movements, the softness she used to mask something far colder. "Morning," he finally said, his voice low. She raised an eyebrow. "You okay?" "I need to talk to you," he said. "About what?" "Later," he replied. "Right now, I'm going to get the kids ready." Claire shrugged lightly, turning back to the stove. "All right, I'll finish the eggs." Ethan walked to the twins' room. Lily and Noah were already awake, sitting together on the bed, holding hands the way they did whenever they felt unsure. When he entered, they instantly straightened, their faces lifting toward the sound of his footsteps. "Daddy?" Lily whispered, "I'm here." He knelt in front of them. "Listen carefully. Today you're staying with me all day. You won't be with Claire, and you don't have to worry about anything. Do you understand?" Noah's fingers tightened around his sister's hand. "Is she mad?" "No," Ethan said gently. "And even if she was, that's not your burden to carry." Lily leaned forward until her forehead touched his arm. "Don't leave us today." "I won't," he promised. He helped them get dressed, staying close the entire time. When they walked to the kitchen, Claire turned with a bright smile. "There are my two favorite. They're eating with me in the living room today." Ethan cut in. Claire blinked. "Why?" "Because I said so," he answered calmly. Her smile faltered. "Ethan, are you upset about something?" He didn't answer. Instead, he took the plates and guided the twins to the living room, sitting between them while they ate. He kept a close eye on Claire, watching the way she glanced toward them, a flicker of irritation slipping through her polished expression dot after breakfast. He sent the twins to the playroom with soft reassurance. "Leave the door open. I'll be right here." Once they were settled, he walked into the kitchen again. Claire stood at the sink, her shoulders visibly tense. "Okay," she said, turning toward him. "What's going on?" "You're acting strange." Ethan leaned against the counter, his arms crossed. "I reviewed the footage." Her face froze. "What footage?" "The camera footage," he said slowly. "The cameras I installed 2 weeks ago." Claire's expression shifted, first confusion, then disbelief, then fear. "You put cameras in the house?" "Yes," without telling me. "Yes," she swallowed. "And what exactly are you accusing me of?" "I'm not accusing you of anything," Ethan said. "I'm stating what I saw." Claire lifted her chin. "Which is what, Ethan?" "That I helped them with their routines. That I took care of them while you were too busy drowning in your work and grief." His eyes darkened. "That you berated them. That you belittled them. That you made them afraid in their own home." Claire laughed softly, but it was sharp. "Afraid? Are you serious?" "They're sensitive. They overreact to everything." "You pushed Noah," Ethan said. "It wasn't a push." He stumbled. "You grabbed Lily's arm, hard." "She wasn't listening." "You told them I would lose patience with them," he continued, voice cracking. "You told them they were difficult. You told them they were disappointing." Claire's face twisted. "Ethan, kids exaggerate. They don't understand tone. They understand enough," he said firmly. Her eyes flickered with something darker. "So what? You're choosing them over me?" He stared at her. "They're my children, and I'm your wife." He took a slow breath, steadying his voice. "No, not anymore." Claire stepped toward him, her expression desperate. "Ethan, listen to me. I was stressed. I didn't mean any of it. I'm human. I make mistakes. So do I," he said softly. "And one of mine was trusting you." She shook her head furiously. "You can't do this. You can't just throw me out over a few bad days." "It wasn't a few bad days," Ethan whispered. "It was every moment I wasn't here." She stared at him, then her face hardened. "Fine. If you want me gone, I'll leave. But you're going to regret this. You think you can handle those kids alone? They're needy, Ethan. They drain people. They drain you." His jaw clenched. "Get out." Claire grabbed her bag, her movement sharp and angry. "You'll come running back," she said as she walked toward the door. "You always break under pressure." "Leave," Ethan said again. She slammed the door behind her. Silence filled the house. Ethan stood in the kitchen for several long seconds, breathing heavily. He felt the leftover anger vibrating through him, but beneath it was relief. A fragile, trembling relief. He walked to the playroom where Lily and Noah sat quietly. The moment they heard him, they rushed toward him. "Is she gone?" Noah whispered. "Yes," Ethan said softly. "She won't hurt you again." Lily clung to his shirt, her voice shaking. "Promise?" "I promise," he whispered, kneeling to embrace them both. "You're safe now." "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." The twins cried into his chest, their small bodies trembling with the release of fear they had held inside for too long. Ethan held them tightly, feeling his own tears fall. It wasn't the perfect ending. Healing would take time. Trust would take time. But the house felt lighter already, like a weight had been lifted from its walls. That night, as he tucked them into bed, Lily held his hand. "Daddy?" "Yes, sweetheart." "Does the house feel different?" Ethan nodded gently. "Yeah, it does." "Feels warm again," Noah whispered. Ethan kissed their foreheads. "It'll stay that way." As the twins drifted to sleep, he sat beside them, listening to the steady rhythm of their breaths. For the first time in months, the silence felt peaceful, not heavy, not afraid, not uncertain. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, he finally felt hope returning to his home. His children were safe, and that was all that mattered.